mother, tell your children not to walk my way. Tell your children not to hear my words, what they mean.
Started the night out with kind of a surprise match as far as starting the night out, in my opinion, which was MVP versus Rey Mysterio Jr. This match went along, they were having a very, very good match. I was really getting into this. I was really really liking this, liking a lot of the stuff. They were really meshing well together. I was really being surprised with this match. Thought this was a great opener, and then they ruined it by doing a count-out finish with Rey winning. Which totally just, since this is like, since they've done this finish before with MVP, it was just kind of like, what? You know, which took away from this match, took a lot away from this match in my opinion. This ended up going probably from a 3.5 star match to a 2.5 star match. The fans went home happy as after the match, Rey Mysterio was able to attack MVP and gets the 619 on MVP, but MVP escapes, blah, 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 blah. But it ended out with a count-out victory, which would have been okay, to be completely honest, because there's nothing wrong with having, particularly on the lower card, kind of a non-finish. There's a difference between a screw job and a non-finish. A non-finish is like a count-out or a DQ, similar to what we saw with HBK and Randy Orton. Randy Orton intentionally got himself DQ'd. That's a non-finish. A screw job finish is when somebody comes in, you have a ref bump, something like that, and get the screw job finish. But there's nothing wrong with a non-finish every once in a while on a pay-per-view, particularly if it's in the undercard. But this wasn't the only one we got, so yeah, that kind of bugged me. I wish the WWE wouldn't do this. If you have a match where you have to do a finish to protect Rey Mysterio, but you want to keep the belt on MVP, then don't book the match. I don't understand how hard that is. And even if that's the case, there's easier ways to fix this. I.e., you could have had Michael PSAs come out, cause MVP, to lose by hitting with a chair or something. Have Mysterio, cover 1, 2, 3, and then on SmackDown, have MVP beat Rey again by some sort of screwjob finish where he breaks the rules or something and still protects Rey. There's nothing wrong with doing that, particularly since this is an undercard match. But this is the WWE, and what do we expect? Okay. Next match we got was CM Punk and Kane versus Big Daddy V and Mark Henry. This was, as many people felt, was going to be El Crapo. It really wasn't. It was actually a bit better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just an okay 2-star match, to be completely honest. Punk went out there, did his thing, definitely sold really well, made both Mark Henry and Big Daddy V look good, which is, I think, the point. There's nothing wrong with this. Once Kane got in there, they actually, made it was still pretty good, I felt, for, having as big as men you have in there. You do have to kind of question WWE's, mentality about having legitimately 3 monsters in the ring with CM Punk. I know a lot of people are going to say Punk got buried. I don't think Punk got buried at all. Though I will say this, and this is the first time I've really complained about Punk as far as getting a push or whatever. Punk needs to lose the title before the Royal Rumble, in my opinion, because he needs to be in the Royal Rumble, because I think that's where he can get a decent push, because he's going to be in the Rumble. If he gets a decent, Royal Rumble push, i.e. he's in the Royal Rumble for a long time, has a good showing in the Royal Rumble, I'd be happy with that. If he's still the title holder come the Royal Rumble, well, that's not going to do any good, in my opinion. And, if they want Big Daddy V to be the title holder, I have no problem with that. Just give him the title already. I've said this before, I don't care if Punk even loses cleanly to Big Daddy V, if that's who they want the title holder to be. But, dragging this out the way there is, in my opinion, is kind of sucky for Punk, but what you gonna do? Next match we got was Shawn Michaels versus Mr. Kennedy. This was very good. A good, solid 3.5 star match. They went out there, they busted their butts, had a really good match. I was really into this. I thought this was really good. There was great psychology with HBK work on the arm, which came back to affect the end. I like things like this. A lot of people are saying that Mr. Kennedy got buried in this. Folks, this was not a burial. This was simply the more over guy going over the younger guy. That's all that was, and that's not a burial. Kennedy looked good in this match. He was made to look good in this match. He won simply, out of kind of a fluke mistake thing that he made. He looked good in this match. He didn't at all look bad in this. I don't know why people were thinking he got buried. He really didn't, in my opinion. But, hey, that's my opinion. Again, this was really good. Made me start to really believe in this pay-per-view that they were really going to pull out something really special with this pay-per-view, which, with the card, they really could. Then we got the number one contenders match with Triple H versus Jeff Hardy. Match of the night. Really good. The one thing I will say, and I'll talk about this again later, when people say the internet does not have an effect on the wrestling business, this match is one of those matches which kind of shows that it does, because the fans weren't into it. I think the reason they weren't into it were because they in their head thought, well, Triple H is going to win. There's no way Jeff Hardy's going to win. Well, guess what? I'm going to spoil this. Jeff Hardy won, which added to the match. This was really good. He kind of won in a cheap way, but not anything bad. This was really nice. They told a really good story in this match, too. This was just both of them just going out there and doing their thing. They were given time. Wonderful stuff. Just really good stuff. Good 4-star match, without a question. Next, we had Finlay versus the Great Khali. And folks, Finlay could not do what John Cena did, which is pull the Great Khali to a 2-star match. So does that mean that Cena's a better wrestler than Finlay? We must ask that question. Nah, not really. I'm just kidding. But this wasn't very good. This was not good at all. I'd give this 1.5 stars. I liked the ending, though. I did like the ending. I thought the ending was fun and, was kind of nice and probably sent the fans home happy. But, it was definitely the worst match of the night, without question. Next, we got Randy Orton versus Chris Jericho. This was very good. This was going along so great. It wasn't funny. This was amazing. This was beautiful. This was all of those things and more. This was going on as good as any match I've seen all year, and then they ruined it with a non-finish because JBL came in, kicked Jericho in the head. I'd still give this 3 1/4 stars because it was that good up until that point. But this is, it just took everything away. And this is what I was going to talk about when I was talking about that the internet doesn't have power. The fans pretty much knew Orton was going to win, and so they weren't into it. But as soon as it looked like, wow, that Jericho was going to win, that everyone was standing up in the building. Folks, this shows the internet has a bit more power than the business wants to admit, in my opinion. It's those types of things which show that the internet does kind of affect things, and I think more people need to kind of pay attention to it. Just my opinion. I could be completely off on that. Then we had Beth Phoenix versus Mickie James. This was a good 2-star women's match. They didn't really give it enough time, unfortunately. This would have been really good if it had been on, Raw. It's unfortunate because both of them really worked well together. They had really good matches. It's unfortunate the fans just weren't into this, in my opinion. And then next we had the triple threat match, Batista versus Edge versus Undertaker. This was just kind of there, in my opinion. There was some good booking things, though. One was Edge intentionally rang the timekeeper's bell because it looked like Undertaker was going to choke out Batista to get, and then in the confusion, he was able to, get Undertaker to stop beating up on Batista. So that worked. And then, of course, as everyone has heard, the 3 edges. I'm sure everyone has heard about this. If you have not seen the match, do not gripe about this because this actually worked in the context of the match. Really didn't take away from the match. The only thing that didn't work about this whole thing was that Michael Cole and Taz, who were commentating on this match, totally botched this. Didn't explain what was going on very well, and that's the only reason why you could say this didn't work. Other than that, the 3 edges things worked. It really didn't have that big of an deal to do with the outcome other than it set up the outcome. Edge, as most of you probably know, won. This was a good match, good 3-star match in my opinion, but nothing great, nothing you should go out of your way to see, my opinion, and I am out.
Let's ride.